Welcome! I'm Michelle Anderson, founder of Clarinet Mentors. Today I have a practice tool for you that I use when I have a melody that has big leaps in it. In other words, moving from a low note to a very high note, large intervals. I find that's really challenging for many people to play, and I have a practice tool that really helps us to make it easier, but also to really find the beauty of the music within that phrase. If you check the write-up that's below this video, you'll see there's a link to a PDF printout, and it might help you to know what I'm working with here. Basically, the excerpt I'm using to illustrate this is the Brahms Sonata in F minor, a little bit of the introduction. It's a beautiful piece of music with wonderful melodies, but Brahms really did write it with all sorts of leaps up and down, and it's very challenging to play. What I find happens very often with my students who are working on this is they get so stressed about the high notes and putting all their effort into them, they kind of lose track of the beauty of the phrase and the music that's within it. Now I know all of you who are watching this video have a sense of expression and music within you, and one of the reasons you're attracted to playing is to express that outward. I want you to do that as effectively as possible. So this will help you play a challenging piece like this more expressively. What I've done, if you look at the handout, is taken the first 8 bars or so of what Brahms wrote, which is beautiful, and then I've rewritten it in the second line to put everything more or less into one octave. It's kind of evening out those leaps. Now this won't sound as beautiful as what Brahms wrote, but it's a really effective practice tool for us. And I'm going to illustrate how this might help you at home. Let's look at the first 2 measures of this. What you'll see there is that at the end of the bar it leaps from open G to high B flat. That's not so easy to do. If I play it first the way it's written down below, it gives me a sense of what the melody might be. And in fact, there are many ways we can phrase this and make it sound musical and beautiful. For right now, I'm going to pretend like I want to aim for those first 2 bars to sort of go up and then go down, a little bit of a nuance, and then the phrase will continue. Now that's quite easy to do if I do it in the low register. Kind of makes sense. It moves forward to the open G and then it sort of ebbs back like a little wave. What I would do is play it in that octave several times till it really feels comfortable, and then I'll try and slip in the higher octave as Brahms wrote it and try and maintain that same feel. I would do that a few times, but doing the low octave really helps me feel the nuances of the phrase, and I encourage you to try this. I could look at the next 2 bars, which has an even scarier leap. See, written in the middle of the staff up to that high E flat, that's kind of scary. But if I do it down the octave, I can see it's actually a beautiful, fairly simple phrase. When I do it that way, I may choose to phrase it similarly to the first 2 bars. Feels like those 8th notes are a beautiful moving action note. They take us to the C, and then we can taper off a little bit. Now that's trickier to do in the high octave, but again, I would do it several times in the low octave, and then try moving to the high register. Now, it doesn't mean that leap's going to feel easy in the high register, but I'll have a better sense of how I want the music framed or shaped. So I want the C to be my peak and then to lift off for the E flat. Doing it in the low octave, for some reason, really helps me get that feeling into my head and into my body, and it's pretty comfortable to do in the low register. Psychologically, I think if we've done that phrase comfortably many times, and then we just pop it up an octave or 2, it still feels easier, and it's a really useful practice tool. So the next thing I might do after that might be to try the whole line in the lower octave, and then try the whole line in the higher octave. It helps us shape the phrase. Now, I'm not saying that's exactly how you should phrase this piece. There's lots of different ways of doing it. I'm just using that as an example of how I might practice it. So perhaps for the next step, I'll try that whole line written down the octave. when I do it like that, evening it out, it actually feels really comfortable. And through exploring that, I might decide where I want to crescendo or where it feels natural to diminuendo. Again, I would play that several times, and then I would try it as written. Now, this tends to apply more to more advanced music because you're not going to find these big leaps written into easier music. But there's another way you can adapt this to yourself if you are playing more easier or intermediate level music. Inevitably, there's parts of our music where in the high register, it just feels uncomfortable. It might not have a big leap, but it might have a part of melody in a higher range that doesn't feel good to you. What you can do is rewrite that section down the octave. I encourage you to play it in a register where it is comfortable and really get to know it. Get to enjoy the beauty of it, decide how you want to phrase it. I guarantee you, after you do that a few times, when you try it up in the higher register, it will feel much easier. I love this technique, not so much that it helps us with the technical aspects of playing, but that it really helps us with the musical aspects of the playing. And if we're not playing expressively, well, why are we doing it? I think all of us are attracted to music because it's beautiful, and we want that beauty of expression to come out of ourselves. So I want you to have that experience. So I'm curious to know how this works for you. There's a comments box under this video, and I'd love to hear from you. How this works for you, or if you have any tricks yourself to approach music that jumps around like this. You know, another great piece to use this on is the Weber Second Concerto. The video that I put out last time on the Clarinet Mentors newsletter showed some other techniques for learning those high notes and helping them feel comfortable, but condensing the octaves on that opening is perfect to use the same technique. Really helps you find the expression within it. So leave your comments. If you've enjoyed this video, you can always get more from me. I welcome you and invite you to join the Clarinet Mentors community. It's absolutely free. You can go to www.learnclarinetnow and sign up for my free newsletter. It comes out every 2 weeks. I'll include some of my recommendations on my favorite clarinet gear and music and things like that. And I'll include an instructional video like this one that you're watching today. You can unsign up at any time if it's not a good fit, but I hope you consider joining. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you on the next video.